Hello everybody. Using our story from World Book Day, the children in years 3 and 4 have written their own version. Each child focused on one section and tried to include descriptive, ambitious vocabulary. We have taken sentences from every child's work and combined them into one story. We hope you enjoy it. Once there was a boy who lived in an old house. One day, something very unusual happened. The boy was about to start his normal morning routine when he heard the doorbell ring. When he opened the door that morning, he couldn't believe his eyes. There was a penguin, a real penguin with a white tummy, black wings, a short tail and beautiful eyes, which actually looked sad. The boy was confused, as penguins live far away. He took one look at the animal and shut the door. The doorbell rang again. Surprised, and at the same time confused, the boy invited the penguin inside the house, wondering why the flightless bird was in front of his house. The penguin was lonely, hopeless, and lost. It started to follow the boy like it had a bond with him. The boy was trying to get the penguin back home because he looked sad. The boy went to the Lost and Found office to see if someone had lost their penguin, but no one had. He asked everyone, but no one had a clue who it belonged to. After that, the boy asked the small birds, but they ignored the boy. Then the boy asked his toy duck, but the duck swam away. He wanted to help him. He had to find out where penguins come from. The boy walked past a pet shop and thought it was the perfect place for the penguin because he was an animal. He put him in a box next to the shop, knocked on the door, and then he ran. The boy came back because nobody answered the door. The penguin struggled to get out of the box, but he got out and rolled down the steps. It was getting late. The boy couldn't sleep. He kept thinking where the penguin lived. That night, when he was trying to sleep, he decided that he had to help this little bird who followed him everywhere. For his last attempt, he decided to go to the library to find out what he could about penguins. After reading for a long time, he found out that penguins lived in the South Pole. The kind boy wanted to take him back home so that he could be happy again. The kind little boy had to think of ways to get to the South Pole safely and carefully. Then he saw a big ship. He shouted and shouted, but the ship couldn't hear because of the horn. When they got home, the boy remembered he had a boat in his cupboard. He tested the boat for its strength. Using a hammer that he had borrowed, he gently tapped all the nails to check the boat was safe. Before they left on their journey to the South Pole, they took some stuff to survive, like a sandwich, so they had something to eat on the way. They launched the small wooden boat into the cold blue water and made their way across the huge ocean. It took a very long time to get to the South Pole, so they had to read stories all night until they reached their destination. After a long tiring journey, the brave boy and the lonely penguin arrived at the cold, icy, snowy South Pole. The boy helped the penguin out of the wooden boat, and then they both said goodbye. The boy set off to sail back home without the penguin by his side. He turned around, and with a dejected look on his face, he raised his hand slowly and waved goodbye to the penguin. After the long journey, the brave boy was confused. Feeling very lonely, the boy sadly set a course for home in his small, white, red rowing boat. His mind was filled with memories of the penguin that had become his friend. It was very cold and icy. The little boy thought he had wanted to take the penguin home back to his family, but when it actually came to it, the little boy felt very lonely without him. Heartbroken, the boy felt like he hadn't helped at all. Leaving the South Pole, the boy felt devastated at leaving the cute cuddly penguin behind. The more the boy thought, the more he realised that he'd made a mistake. The penguin had felt sad and lonely when the boy dropped him off. He decided he was going to go back one last time to see if the boy wanted to be his friend. The boy rushed back on one side of the huge shadowy iceberg. On the other side, there was the little penguin who was trying to find the boy. The boy went straight back to where he left the penguin, but he wasn't there. As much as he tried, the penguin was nowhere to be found. After such searching for many hours, the boy finally gave up. Sadness burned inside of him because he had failed his best friend. Slowly he started to row home, longing to see the penguin again. The boy thought it was pointless telling stories because there was nobody to listen apart from the sea and the sea creatures that lived below. Then he found something floating in the sea. It was the penguin's suitcase. He decided to open it, and he found the pictures of the penguin. Then he realised that the penguin wasn't lost, he was just lonely. The boy spotted something on the horizon. In the distance, the boy saw an object that he could not quite recognise. He could barely see what it was, but it looked like a figure. He rowed closer and closer. The boy heard a familiar sound. It was the penguin. In the colourful umbrella, the penguin was sailing to see his new friend. There was great joy for both of them to meet again. The penguin was so happy to see him, and the boy was so happy to see the penguin. Stretching out his hand to meet the penguin's flipper, the friends were reunited. The penguin climbed into the boat and gave the boy a big hug. They both settled down in the boat for the long journey home. The boy started to tell the penguin a story. They both lived happily ever after. So you can see how hard the children have worked to make this story. Well done to all the children who wrote their section, and thank you for doing it. We hope you enjoyed the story.